What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? You steady stepper. Because perception is what shapes everything that we see in this reality. Perception is how we respond to things. Based on our perception is how we react to things. Based on our perception is how we feel. Based on our perception is how we interact with others. And you keep saying perception, but what is the definition of perception? So the definition of perception based on Google's terms is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. So let's bring that into our reality. So we know what the definition of perception is based on what you see, hear, and feel with your senses. So things that add to your perception is your sense of smell, your sense of touch, the things that you hear from others, the things that you see in your environment, the way that you go throughout, or your attitude towards people, your attitude towards situations. All these things are a cumulative value that gives you your perception on what you see through these eyes. So if you listen to a lot of positive influences, you're going to have a very positive perception on life no matter what situation unfolds in front of you. If you listen to others that aren't the most positive, then your frequency is going to be based on the perception that everyone else around you is feeding into you, which then will help you unconsciously create your own perception. Because what I'm learning about perception, you can change your perception. Your perception can be altered based on certain factors of your environment, your food, your daily activity, even some of your rituals between the rising and the setting of your body into a restful state. So if you listen to a lot of high vibrational frequencies as you sleep, or as you wake up, or as you have free time, like I like to do while I'm exercising sometimes, then your perception will be unlocked, because your perception to a more positive outlook, or your perception to a more effective thought process to solve a situation will be a lot better, because you don't have all these other influences saying, hey, that's not going to work. Saying, hey, you're thinking too big. Saying, hey, I don't think you can do that based on where you are in life right now. I don't really think you can afford that. Those are opinions that others put into you through your hearing and through your sight that will affect your perception. Versus if you are listening to like the high vibrational frequencies, which I feel like they truly help me, because they don't have words to them. They're different. They're hertz. Hertz are like beats. And as we know with energy, if you ever threw a rock in a pond, right? And when that rock dropped, everything around it then has a ripple effect. So that's the same way with words, with sounds, with food, with energy that goes into our body. Our body is like the center mass of the water. And whenever you throw that word into the spirit, whenever you throw that action into your energy, then there's a ripple effect throughout your body that then comes out throughout your actions into the universe. And you like, Destine, what are you talking about? So, great example. Me, the body and the being and the person of Destine, says, I want to build a $150 million business from the ground up. And the outside influences from all around based on the people that may be surrounding me at my current moment may say, dude, you crazy. Who you know ever built a $150 million business from the ground up that you personally know? Or, oh, no, you can't build a $150 million business. You don't have the intellectual thinking power to build a business like that. No, you can't build that because you don't even have $1,000 in your savings account right now. You can't do that because you don't even know how to structure a business that's able to attain $150 million profit in a calendar year. But you see what all those different pebbles did to my ripple effect? All those different pebbles then deterred me on the inside to want to almost make me believe that I am not worthy of building something that's been in my brain. Those different influences sometimes only know based on their perception because they haven't been in a position to where they can really build something like that. They haven't been conscious about their influences around them to, okay, you're right. I don't have $1,000 to my name. So what? At this moment, I don't. But guess what? It's already on the way. Because that $150 million business is plenty enough to bring me all the hundreds and millions of thousands that I need. Those people that are like, you don't even have the intellectual capacity to think that deep to build that business. But you know what? No, you don't have intellectual capacity right now. But I like to read books. So that means I'm expanding my intellectual capacity. I like to listen to other great business leaders who have attained these $150 million business build-outs. And see, the thing about perception, right? The thing about perception is your perception can be altered based on what you're doing, who you're around, what you're looking at. Perception is not one of those things that's fixed like concrete. And even concrete can be broken and remolded. Because a lot of times, beings out here that are like us but not us want us to believe that life is exactly, I wouldn't even say concrete, but life is one of those things that aren't easily manipulated. And I beg to differ because manipulation is going on every single moment of every single time. And sometimes people look at manipulation as a bad action. And it can. Please don't ever get me wrong. Manipulation can be used in a negative way if the person that is the manipulator wants it to be a negative outcome. But you can also be a positive manipulator. So, and you say, how can you be a positive manipulator? Okay, let's think about metal and a welder. A welder has to manipulate the metal to make it conform to what it is that he needs to build out for the customer so they can be satisfied. So how does the welder manipulate the metal? He gets some heat. He heats the metal slowly throughout the section that needs to be formed, and then he then manipulates it with tools, with heat, with hammers, and through thought, because he has a perception that this metal will do everything I need it to do because I have all the resources collectively around me to make it work for my situation. Or let's think about how, we ain't gonna say that. Let's think about how we manipulate money to make it work for us. You got 3 bills and you got just enough to pay these 3 bills, but you still need groceries too. So something is gonna have to be manipulated in order to make sure you get all these things done. So you say, okay, let's look, we got 4 objectives, but we really only got enough we only really have enough money to accomplish 3 objectives. So one of these objectives is going to have to be manipulated, or one of these things are going to have to be manipulated for a while so we can still get everything done with what we have. So we're going to say you got your phone bill, you got your cable bill, yes, and your power bill, and your groceries. Now, we got the phone bill, the cable bill, the electric bill, and the groceries. Now the phone bill, we know that we can definitely manipulate that phone bill because you can set up a payment arrangement or whatnot. You can put an installment on the phone bill to kind of defer that until you get more resources, i.e., money in this situation. But we know you're gonna need that cable, so you could get that Wi-Fi if you work from home or you need it, or you're a content creator, or you really need Wi-Fi. But really, heck, you can manipulate that Wi-Fi too, though, because you can go to Starbucks, you can go to McDonald's, you can go to a friend's house. But that power, you're gonna need that power because you're gonna need some heat, you're gonna need some lights, you're gonna need to be able to cook. So the power, you can't really manipulate that. The groceries, heck, you can even man, you got almost 3 out of 4 opportunities on your agenda that can be manipulated for the better of you. Because now let's say, for instance, you might not even have enough resources or tools, i.e. money in this example, to solve everything you need to do. Because you see how we was able to think deeper than the surface of the situation of what we needed to accomplish? So remember, when we first start on the level of what our perception told us, we wouldn't have been able to manipulate any of those. So that means we technically would have went without if we weren't able to change and adjust our perception and think deeper instead of wider. So then we was able to say, ooh, catch this play. You can go to the food bank and get free groceries. You can put your phone bill on a payment plan, or you can defer the payments to a later part of the month so you can get more resources to handle the phone bill. Now the power, we can't really, you can't really manipulate that. But even the Wi-Fi, you can cut the Wi-Fi off. You can go without cable. You don't really need cable because you don't really need to be watching all that TV. Honestly, if it ain't about positive stuff, if it's not really helping you grow who it is that you want to become, if it's not helping you scale things that you're already working on, you can go to Starbucks. You can go to McDonald's. Hey, you can go post up in the hotel parking lot to upload a video or to get some Wi-Fi if you're really in a position where you just need that connection. So when you're really able to adjust your perception, man, you can think about so many more ways to get what you need, even if you at the moment don't really believe you have all the proper resources. Because that's the creative power and ability that we have, that we possess through our perception. Man, I love perception because you control your perception. At the end of the day, you control your perception because you can change the people you talk to. You can change the things you look at. You can change the food you digest. All those things can be changed based on you and your consciousness. If you make the conscious effort to say, hey, instead of talking to this person 5 days a week that I know usually always talking crazy, let's cut it back to 3. And let's see how my perception is elevated. Instead of watching TikTok 3 to 4 hours a day, let's take it back to an hour a day, just for a week. And let's see how my perception is elevated. Instead of listening to rap music while I'm on my free time, let's change it to some high vibrational frequencies. And let's see how my perception is then elevated and expounded upon. Because perception is how you see everything in front of you. Perception is how you deal with everything in you. Your perception to me is like your hands or your feet or your brain. That's a controller in your life. If you got the perception that you always failing at everything, you are going to be deceived to ever attempt anything new. If you have the perception that you're not smart, you're never going to challenge yourself because you're always going to be like, man, I'm not smart enough to do that. But that's based on your perception of your surroundings and your environment. in what you believe. But you can change that. Don't ever feel like you can't change your perception. Because I was one of the ones that felt like I couldn't change my perception until I became conscious of who I really was. I'm a creator. You a creator. Creators make things out of nothing. Creators make diamonds out of dirt. Creators make fruit trees out of soil and a seed because of their perception and things that they know they can attain, things that they know they can put their hands on, things that they know in the past that we've already cultivated and accumulated to help us on this journey where we at right now. But if you're not willing to be conscious about your perception, oh my goodness, that is just gonna have such a crazy effect on who it is that you are as a creator. Like, we're not gonna let this perception take us out the game. We're gonna change the game and manipulate the game to make it win, to make us be the biggest asset on our own board. And how does your day affect your perception? Ooh, how does your day affect your perception? What goes on throughout your day when you at work that can affect your perception? Remember we talked about who are you talking to on a daily that'll affect your perception? What are you doing on a daily that'll affect your perception? All these different factors play a role in your perception. So if you arguing with your lady before you go to work, your perception for the rest of the day is going to be in more of a aggravated state. So everything you look at, you're going to be aggravated towards. Everybody you talk to, you're going to be aggravated towards. Everything that then comes out is going to be aggravated because the way you are perceiving life right now, potentially because of that argument, is, damn, she pissed me off. So everything that you now come in contact with, you're going to come in contact with it from the perception of being pissed off, so you're not going to be able to think through a situation. Versus being in a relaxed, calm, energetic state. Like, man, she almost pissed me off. But I'm not going to let that ruin my day. I'm not going to let that affect my day. Just because she had an argument with me before I left the house, that is not going to determine how I perceive the rest of my day. Because guess what? Even though y'all got into an argument before you left the crib early that rising, that day that y'all got into an argument, the biggest opportunity of your life could be waiting for you. But if you coming from the perception of being aggravated and still in that moment of y'all arguing, that opportunity could walk right past you. That opportunity could be right in front of you, and because you still so focused on what y'all had an argument about, you can't even see things from the brighter perception of life that was just a moment. That's done now. We got better things to accomplish once we leave that house, because we know we still got to come back and provide. We know we still have to, if you didn't deal with it, but you also still get to look at it from, like, damn, this is my life. Even though she pissed me off, she's still gonna need to come back and talk to me. She's still gonna have to, or they still gonna have to come back and interact with each other. So why let one instance alter your whole perception for that day? Because somebody that really may have needed to give you a message, if they say, hey, what's up, man? How you feeling today? Like, man, I don't want to hear that, bro. And then you could have missed that whole message that could have elevated you, that could have helped you in your circumstance, that could have helped you even get back, when you get back home, they could have gave you a gem that could have helped you fix that challenge that y'all just got into it about. But because you was like in a pissed off state, they're like, bro, I don't even want none of that. I don't want that energy you got to rub off on me. So you know what? I'm going to keep my conversation to myself. When you come back to your happier being or your more positive being, then we'll talk about it. Or then I'll give you that gem. Because what I'm learning about this reality and perception, everybody's perception is different based on where they're at in their life. And based on my perception of how I see reality, I am being more conscious about who I talk to. And, so I got this gem of a book, right? Because y'all know perception is based on everything that we take in. So I went to the local bookstore, a neighborhood bookstore, a little mom and pop, and this is what I found. I found this book, right? And as y'all see, it says, "Don't worry, make more money." Money is a transfer of energy. Energy is created and dissolved through perception, I feel like. Because if somebody got some positive energy, you perceive that they have positive energy, then you want some of that positive energy. So then you absorb that positive energy because of your perception. So when you looking at everything, right, you say, I can make it an excuse or I can create a solution. And this one was, you can make money or you can make excuses. This chapter that I pulled out that I wanted to talk about. It says you can either make money or you can make excuses, but you cannot do both. And I said, dang, that's a bar. And the reason I know that's a bar is because based on my old perception, I would make a lot of excuses if things weren't perfect based on my perception. You see how we was able to bring that all together? I used to make a lot of excuses based on my perception because I thought things weren't perfect. But once I really began to be conscious about me making excuses, me looking at things from a lower perception, me saying, it's not perfect, so I can't do it. These three things right there, they would kill the whole situation. They would kill everything. So I had to start saying, hold up, Destine. Is this really who you want to be all your life? You want to be somebody that's always just making excuses because everything ain't perfect? Because guess what? If you say nothing is perfect, so I can't fix it, I can't complete it, I can't start it, you'll never get anything done. Everything is perfect in that moment for you to get what you need out of the situation or circumstance. Because based on my perception, if I'm still breathing, thinking, and able to move, I can solve it. If I have the resources, which are the things that I just spoke about, there's nothing that I can't accomplish or complete. Only way I can't complete it is if I believe through my perception that I can't complete it. But based on my new perception, I'm like, there ain't nothing I can't do. I'm smart. There's nothing I can't complete. I'm intellectual. There's nobody I can't talk to because I am very great at communicating. There's nobody that I can't connect with because I'm intentional. There's no obstacle that I can't overcome because I'm a critical thinker. But these are things that I changed based on my perception on how I wanted to view myself. I stopped letting all these outside influences put their opinion into my perception. I burnt that shit down. I burnt that old perception down. I burnt it to the ground. And now I'm being conscious about how I'm rebuilding my foundation so that my building of perception can see so much broader. My building of perception can sustain so much more. My beams that are in my building of perception can support so much more. And it's because when I start looking at how I perceive everything, I'm like, if everything was meant to be so difficult, And based on my perception to where nothing is fair and I can't do anything, why would the creator put me in this situation? The true value of refusing to allow excuses to stop you from making money is that when you make the conscious decision that I'm gonna get me for me, then all those excuses begin to just die off, and the solutions then begin to grow up the vines of the tree that you are nourishing and creating. Because the thing about excuses are like bad habits. They don't serve nobody but the damn habit or the problem. And I love this because I was in a situation where I had a lot of excuses that I could use to not complete what it is that I set out to complete. But I said, bro, you've been using excuses way too long to skate by way too easy. And then you be kind of, you being me, I'm speaking of me. But some of the stuff that I'm saying right now, Mike, you probably getting goosebumps because you feel where I'm coming from too, though. And it's like when you don't get something accomplished because you made so many excuses, you just be like, bro, when is enough gonna be enough? Like, or sis, when is enough gonna be enough for us? When are we gonna get so tired of making freaking excuses that we just execute like, I don't give a flying for diddle crap. I'm gonna get this done. If I'm still breathing and able to think, I'm gonna get it done. When is that gonna become your new habit? And check this out. This not gonna come overnight. I've been in this journey of really changing my perception consciously for well over a year and a half, and these things still come back. Some of these excuses still attempt to creep back in my thought process. But and even reading this book, it says when you feel those habits, you gotta acknowledge them. So if you be like, if something hard comes, like yesterday, we was racing, and I thought I was in a, I guess I thought I wouldn't as tight as I was because I work out, but my body said, boy, you don't stretch like that. So we took off, boom, 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 like that third stride I hit that, boom, that leg said, ooh, that thing said, ooh, stop. And I was like, damn, I bought this racing up. We started racing and I lost. I said, so am I going to use that as excuses? Like, oh, my leg got cramped or all this whoop whoop, or am I just going to take the L and say, you know what? I lost, whatever, it is what it is, but we can run again. And that was the determination that I had. Like, even though I lost in that race, and I was like, man, these excuses would sound a lot better than just me making a decision to stretch my leg out and be ready for the next race. I said, we just going to stretch it out. We're going to stretch it out. We're going to walk it out. It's probably going to hurt for a couple of days, but when it's time to run that race again, we're going to run that race with no excuses. We're not going to let that challenge be something that just hinders us from continuing to elevate. Because remember, even though you don't win every race, you win the race that you win with your old self. And the race for me is to eliminate all excuses. To only execute on the things that I know that I see in my vision to be my reality. To align myself with people that want to be in alignment with me. To really have a perception of reality that I can handle and overcome anything that comes my way. That's the perception that I am currently living and creating for myself and others that are around me that continue to talk to me on the daily. Or whenever they talk to me. But you know, sometimes I don't like talking to nobody. I like to be by myself. Because I learned that energy comes through so many different sources. So sometimes you just need a break to just reset and be with your own thoughts. Mold your own reality. Create your own perception. And the way I feel like you can truly do that is when you just take a break from everything and just say, you know what? I need some me time. I need some me time to tear some old walls down, look through the rubbish, really go back and get a detailed checklist on all the things that were in this building or foundation, all the different resources that got me to where I'm at. And let's see, after we kind of knocked it down or you analyzed it, is that really where you want it to be? Or is that where you subconsciously were sent? Because the power of perception is based on so many more things than what we seen outward. Because if you want to see things differently going outward, you got to first analyze, realize, and redirect the things that are coming inward. We know life is just a game. It's just a dream. So if you know that you can control and manipulate your dream, why not? Because truth be told, you're going to be manipulated. You think you're not, you're being manipulated every second of time by some outside influence, by some outside action, by some outside sense. If you ride by a Burger King and you smell the burgers and you instantly get hungry, you were just manipulated by smell. If you scrolling on your Instagram and you see some boots pop up that you didn't want to buy, but then when that boot ad commercial pop up, you were just manipulated to go buy some boots. So manipulation is going on every second throughout the day, whether you want to accept, realize, and believe it or not. So make sure you be the manipulator of the positivity that you want to come into your dimension. Don't let outside sources manipulate you to do things that you don't really consciously want to do. Unless you want to do it. But we know that's always up to you. So I really, really love that we just have the power to control, change, and manipulate things within ourselves. Not others, but within ourselves. And I hope that this was really able to give you just a seed that you could take to help change your perception. Because when we start all seeing life as abundant as it really is and not as lackful as they want us to believe, oh man, the creators will continue to create and new creators will be born. Because the creativity. This episode was brought to you and sponsored by the Steady.Stepping.Podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and share it with some of your family members that you feel like really are in a phase of growing and they're wanting a source of enlightenment within themselves. They just don't know where to start. They just don't know where to go. They just don't know the community to be around. What is it? What will you help somebody do that somebody helped you do? Remember, each one teach one, allow us to reach one.